Dear friends, welcome to my video on what is the importance of righteousness. Kindly click on the CC button for subtitles. The bedrock of righteousness. First things first, we should hammer down what we mean by righteousness. Generally, it involves living according to a moral code that embraces truth, justice, and virtue. It's the deeply ingrained sense of doing the right thing, often battling against temptations, shortcuts, and easier routes that sway from this higher path. At times, righteousness is likened to a warrior, standing tall amidst a battlefield of chaos and confusion. The spirit of a righteous warrior doesn't just refer to a literal warrior but to anyone who takes up the mantle of moral and ethical integrity, fighting against the odds to maintain a stand for what is right, just, and true. The warrior within. In picturing the righteous warrior, imagine an individual who is relentless in their pursuit of truth and justice. They do not crumble under pressure or opt for convenience over correctness. This warrior isn't defined by muscle and steel, but by fortitude, resilience, and a heart willing to bear the burdens necessary to uphold righteousness. The spirit of a righteous warrior exists in all of us, and it asks that we engage life with a sense of purpose, dignity, and an unyielding commitment to uphold the values we hold dear, even in the face of adversity. It is about wielding the sword of truth against the dragons of deception, deceit, and injustice that threaten the harmony and goodwill of society. Righteousness in daily endeavors. The spheres of our daily lives provide the battleground where righteousness comes to play. It dictates how we relate with our neighbors, how we conduct business, and how we govern ourselves. Righteousness doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it's the quiet voice at the end of the day encouraging you to give your all in everything you do, to be honest, to be kind, and to stand up for those who can't. The righteous warrior does not discriminate, does not steal, and does not harm others. This warrior lives by a code of conduct that fosters harmony, promotes justice, and seeks truth at every turn. The community and the righteous warrior. Beyond individual realms, communities thrive on the collective righteousness of their members. When people choose to adhere to a moral compass that values the well-being of others, the community naturally evolves into a haven of trust, mutual respect, and harmony. The spirit of a righteous warrior in a community setting is like a guardian, ever vigilant, fostering an environment where fairness prevails, and justice is not just a word but a living, breathing entity reflected in the actions and attitudes of its members. In a world inundated with falsehoods and superficiality, communities anchored in righteousness stand as beacons of hope, demonstrating the boundless potentials of human society guided by the principles of truth and justice. Righteousness and self-fulfillment. At the personal level, the practice of righteousness nourishes the soul. It fosters a deep-seated sense of fulfillment and peace, stemming from the knowledge that one's actions are guided by a force for good. The righteous warrior finds joy not in material wealth or fleeting pleasures but in the tranquil satisfaction that comes from living a life of purpose, grounded in virtue and truth. The ripple effect of righteous acts. Every act of righteousness, no matter how small, sends ripples through the fabric of society. It influences others, encouraging them to also adopt the path of truth and justice. This is the spirit of a righteous warrior, a force that changes the world, one righteous act at a time, nurturing a society that values integrity over greed, truth over falsehood, and love over hatred. The trials of the righteous warrior embarking on the path of righteousness is no stroll in the park. It is a journey laden with trials and tests designed to temper the spirit, forging it into one of unyielded strength and purity. The righteous warrior meets adversaries, both external and internal. They face criticism, resistance, and sometimes isolation. Yet, they trudge on, armored with the unshakable belief in the sanctity of their path. The true warrior understands that righteousness is not about perfection but about striving, about seeking, about endeavoring to align one's actions with the higher principles of justice, truth, and love. Molding the future. Righteousness is not just a guiding principle for the present, it is an investment in the future. By choosing the path of righteousness, we are molding a future that reveres truth, cherishes justice, and celebrates the spirit of communal harmony and mutual respect. The righteous warrior is a visionary, seeing beyond the turmoil of the present, envisioning a world where the spirit of goodwill governs the actions of individuals and communities alike, fostering a global society grounded in the virtues of compassion, integrity, and justice. In conclusion, righteousness, the quiet force guiding us towards a path of virtue, the spirit urging us to be warriors in a world sometimes veering towards the easier route of deceit and unfairness, stands tall as a beacon of hope, a testimony to the transformative power of living a life rooted in truth and justice. As we walk our paths daily, let us strive to embody the spirit of a righteous warrior. It isn't about grand gestures but about the small, daily acts of goodness, of choosing the right over the easy, of standing firm in truth, and of fighting for justice. Embrace the spirit of a righteous warrior. Cultivate an unyielding resolve to be a force for good in a world that desperately needs the light of truth and the warmth of kindness. Stand tall, warrior of righteousness, for in your spirit lies the seed of a better, kinder, and more just world for all. Thank you for watching my video. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel and give a thumbs up. Thanks for your support.